Hi, this is Dimitri Bilgir, and I'd like to talk to you today about a little adventure I recently had with this. Chocolate dusted almonds. Now, if you've been following my blog at all, you know that I've been losing weight and going through the whole adventure of that. And one of the things that's really brought up for me is having to look at the balance between my own effort and the grace of God that lifts me up and carries me. Now, there's a great quote in Galatians 3 of, "Are you so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, are you now being made perfect by the flesh?" And when I read that recently, it really hit me because that is the way so many of us start with projects. We'll get an inspiration and then we say, "Okay, God, I'll see you later. I'll come back when I've got it done. I began with the Spirit, but now it's going to be my own efforts that perfect me. I'm going to be perfected by the flesh. Having begun in the Spirit, are you now perfected in the flesh?" And nowhere is this more true for me in my life than in the project of losing weight, that I get the inspiration that's off like, okay, even though I said there's going to be no stress and suffering about this, I still feel like I got to go do it myself. I got to go do it now. You know, it also reminds me of a quote I heard John Wooden say a long time ago, famous UCLA basketball coach. He talked about God takes care of everything, but we must do our part. Think about, what is my part? How do I do my part if God takes care of everything? How do I begin in the Spirit and end in the Spirit, especially when I'm trying to lose weight and chocolate dusted almonds exist? So I was at my parents' house recently, and I was doing fine diet-wise until I discovered they had these little beauties, and I found myself eating them. It's certainly something I can get in trouble with. So I found myself eating them, and I was thinking, I need to stop eating these. I need to stop eating these, and I want to stop eating these, but I can't seem to stop eating these. And then I realized I've begun in the Spirit this desire to be somebody who ate well and properly, but I was ending in the flesh of somebody who was going to have to make himself stop. So at that moment, I remembered a quote from Brother Lawrence. Brother Lawrence was a Carmelite monk from the 17th century in France. And in his letters, he wrote, or someone wrote about him, that he says, when an occasion for virtue offered itself, he would say, "Lord, I cannot do this unless you enable me." And so I thought to myself, eating these, Lord, I want to stop, but I can't do it unless you enable me. And turned my heart over to him, and then boom, I was like, oh, lid back on the thing, I'm done. Wow, that was interesting. So then later, a day or so later, I found myself getting in trouble with him again. I thought, wow, I can't stop doing this, but oh, okay. Lord, I can't stop unless you enable me. Boom, done again. Wow, that was great. So like later on that day, they were out again, and I find myself eating a few, and I started thinking to myself, here's what was actually going on in my head. Like, I don't really want to stop eating these. I like eating these. But God, if you would take care of this for me, that would be awesome. And I found myself not really stopping eating them. It's like, I can't stop doing this unless you enable me, but I was still eating them. And what was the difference? Well, the big difference was I didn't want to stop. I wasn't turning my heart into the place of saying, I want to do well, but I can't. I want to be virtuous, but I can't. I want to begin in the Spirit and end in the Spirit, but I can't. What I was actually saying was, I don't want to stop doing this. I'm not willing to take a part of me and turn it over to you and say, I want to stop doing this. I was kind of sort of saying, it was almost like, waiter, take this away and bring me something better. Right? I was in my lordship over God, and boy, that doesn't work so well, and nothing shifted. And in that moment, I did stop, and I thought, wow, this is really the difference between relying on God and not doing my part, and relying on God and doing my part. When I'm relying on God and not doing my part, nothing's going to shift, because I haven't put myself into it. I haven't found the part of me that needs help and exposed it and been honest about it. There's that saying that the wisest person is the one who best knows their need for God. And in the first few times when I put myself in God's hands and said, if I'm going to stop, you will have to enable me to do it, I knew my need. And that last time, I didn't really know, I wasn't really in touch with my need for God. I was mostly saying, I want to keep doing this, but I guess, if you perform a miracle, that'd be okay. I wasn't in touch with my need to do better and my desire to be virtuous. So God would take care of everything, but I wasn't doing my part. Now, so our part isn't being strong. Our part isn't being unstoppable. Our part isn't having an indomitable will. Our part, when we must do our part, is being willing to say, I'm broken. I don't have what it takes to do this. If I'm going to do this, you're going to have to lift me up to do it, but I want to do it. That my heart desires to do it. I am willing to find the part of me that wishes to do virtue and invest in that part. So I, for one, I did stop eating the chocolate dusted almonds. And I'm grateful for the lesson that I got. So now I hope that this will be something that's helpful for you as well, so that you'll be able to do your part, your small, small part, so that God can do His great part in your life, so that having begun in the Spirit, you can finish in the Spirit. This is Dimitri Bilgir, signing off.